Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here at Activate Learn. Actually, guess what? I can't say at Activate Learn on Twitter anymore. I deleted my Twitter account on Saturday. Completely, permanently deleted. I've been on Twitter since 2007. I have written over 84,500 tweets. And when the Twitter archive arrived, I downloaded my data. I checked all my tweets were there. And then permanently deleted. But today it's not about me. It is about a book that I recently read by Jaron Lanier. He wrote it in 2018 and it's called 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Right Now. Now, before you think, oh, you read his book, therefore you got sick and tired and you deleted all your social media. Not entirely true. For a while now, I have been thinking of deleting all my social media and reclaiming a little bit of my headspace back so I can focus more time on being creatively productive, if that makes sense. As I was thinking about doing this, I thought I'll read Jaron Lanier's two books. One was the 10 Arguments for Deleting Social Media Accounts, but there was another one that I did read, which he wrote a lot earlier, which I'll review at another time because it's written in quite a different way. It is You Are Not a Gadget. It's kind of like his manifesto, I guess, but written in a very different way from 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Right Now. If you don't want to read the book, there are tons of TED Talks and videos by Jaron who actually explains what these 10 rules are. I'm not going to go into them right now because the majority of them you probably already know and your gut is telling you something's wrong anyway. I'm going to talk about the things that really stood out for me. The very first thing that Jaron mentions, which I really loved because I love my cat, he basically challenges us to be more like cats rather than dogs. Now, if you think about cats, cats take a backward, kind of like an observation stance. They don't jump in excitedly and get involved with the pack. They're going to sit back, they're going to observe, and then they decide whether they want to get involved. And as a cat lover myself, and I have a cat called Pud, who has taught me so much about how I should be spending my life. Cats are really good educators. They can tell us a lot about how we should be living our life. And so when Jaron opened up the book about how to be more like a cat, it kind of resonated with my own thinking about what Pud has taught me over the period of the COVID lockdowns. And so he challenges us to really take a step back, to question everything, to critique everything, and to not take everything on face value that what is being doled out to us with regards to social media. I've been using social media ever since inception. I was the very first user of LinkedIn. I was one of the very first users of Facebook. I was one of the first users of Twitter. Social media has been in my life for a long, long, long time. It has helped me with my work. It has found me work. It has connected me with a whole heap of different people out there around the world. It has allowed me to travel overseas and present at conferences overseas and at home as well. It has been brilliant for me. However, over the years, I have noticed a lot of things that he mentions in the book that started to not sit well with me. Every time I got on social media, I kind of felt horrible. And in fact, that is one of the reasons he provides, is that social media modifies our behaviors, but it doesn't modify our behavior to the point that we change ourselves. We kind of realize what is happening. But what is worse is that there are companies out there who are using our and tweaking our behaviors for their profit in order for us to buy their products or their services. And that's where he challenges the reason why we need to be on social media is the fact that he sees social media as one big behavior modification, and he calls it the bummer. He calls it the empires of behavior modification for rent. And he does say that there are companies out there, companies like Microsoft, Apple, who really have different business models, who don't rely on, say, such as Google and Amazon, who have the one business model, who are deliberately out there tweaking those algorithms in order for us to click on certain things, to modify our behaviors, and in the process, we change our behaviors, buy products and services, and also make us seem a lot more like, he calls them assholes or jerks. Okay. So that's what I was noticing on social media, that all of a sudden I wasn't speaking to people, real to real people. I was speaking to avatars. I was speaking to trolls. I was speaking to people who have anonymized their faces. I didn't know who was who online anymore. And that's when I thought, it's time I start to get off. He does talk about the fact that one of the reasons should be that social media has moved us from being solitary individuals into pack individuals. And I guess that goes the same with a cat. So he talks about the fact that every time something is switched where it stops us from thinking for ourselves, for questioning for ourselves, for thinking that we're going apart from the group, that should send signals with the fact that it's moving us from a solitary to a pack mentality. And obviously when you're in a pack mentality, if you are seen as not following what the others are following or not saying what the others are saying, that you get out of the pack, that you're ostracized, that then you really feel bad for even participating. So I think, why even participate? He does talk about the fact that he is not a Luddite. He loves technology. In fact, he was the virtual reality guru, the virtual reality pioneer. And he does say that technology has allowed us to do some wonderful things that allow us to really stretch our creativity and come up with some wonderful things and solutions in the world. But where he draws the line is when these solutions are, it's kind of like a race to the bottom, where you have to put them out for free on these platforms, and then this knowledge or this information is then used by some algorithm or some company using the algorithm that exploits your intellectual property and exploits your knowledge for their gain. So look, there is nothing, I guess, surprising. You probably have already noticed this, or you probably realizing it yourself, or you probably saw a kind of like a Netflix show, The Social Dilemma, that talks about all this stuff. I think the challenge is, when it comes to the crunch, is actually making that permanent move, making that, pressing the button and permanently deleting and wiping years of, I guess, your identity or what you shared online could be a very big risk for some people, especially if they rely on followings to get more business or to get their content out there. So one of the things that I also gained from this book of his bummer concept, which is the behavior users modification for rent, is the fact that there are 6 elements, he said, and he calls them the A, B, C, D, E, and M. The first one was A, which is social media zaps our attention, and it certainly does. Many times I've been on Twitter, and before I know it, hours have passed and I haven't gained anything for it. I haven't really learnt anything. I haven't really done anything. I haven't really made anything. I haven't really put anything out there that has switched my thinking. In fact, I've come away from it angry or frustrated or just feeling dirty, just like an addict does when they've gotten their fix. They feel good for a little bit and then they think, well, I'm back in. What have I achieved? What have I done? So A was the zapping of the focus on attention. The B was butting into everyone's lives, which is all the notifications. Now, for a while, I have stopped notifications on my social media. In fact, an example is a couple of years now, I've completely unfollowed everyone on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn feed is entirely clean. Every time someone connected with me, I have to say connected with me on LinkedIn, I unfollow their everything that they do, because every interaction I see my feed and I got sick and tired of it. So social media, he says, butts into our lives. And so you get into the habit of just stopping all your notifications because you don't want to be pinged at any time when you're in deep focus work or creating something, to kind of look at your phone and catch up with really crap. This third element was content cramming. That was the C for content cramming. And it's so true. What I also don't like about social media is it cuts content. We don't know where content has come from. It's just kind of like a piece of content in a bigger piece that we're not aware of in the background. And as a result, because we only get that piece, we make an assumption for that piece and we get angry for that little piece. And so that was another thing that I also spurred me on to stop my social media. It got to the point where I thought, there's so much more to this story. I go down rabbit warrens. I much prefer to go down that rabbit warren on my own terms rather than have bits of it fed to me by people who are anonymous, or I don't know who is sitting behind their account. I don't even know if they're real people. The letter D was it directs our behavior. And sure enough, I have spoken enough about this, and you're probably seeing it for yourself. If you're getting off social media and thinking, what was the point of that? Or you're getting angry, or you're getting sad, or you're getting envious or whatever, then your behavior is being modified. E is for earning money for assholes. It's okay, some people are earning money for themselves, but are they really? They're really struggling. I see YouTubers really struggle. Everyone's at the whim of the bloody algorithm. And I think to myself, why are you doing this? Why do you have to always be churning out content? And once the algorithm changed, then there's more pressure on you to do this. You're only just giving money back to the platform providers. And F, the last one, was fake news, fake mobs, fake society, which I feel as if that is another reason why I got off social media. So he uses the BUMA concept. He uses the A, B, C, D, E, F. He has the 10 different reasons why you should get off social media. What I got out of it is a really good quote in the end where he does say that, we need to kind of understand our own ignorance. And for me, this has been an element of, I guess, what I've been searching for, the fact that the more I'm on social media, the more I realize I don't know, the more I realize that there's a whole big different world out there that I should be exploring, not through the lens of anyone else's context or not everyone else's mashups of what they think it is, especially if it comes from people I don't know who they are, or whether they're trolls or whether they're spammers. If it comes from people I know, like, and trust, then that's a completely different situation. But then I thought to myself, I know where these people are. I know where they're blogging. I know where their work is. I can directly go to where they are in order to get that. I don't need to get it from their social media accounts. So he ended up saying the foundation of the search for truth must be the ability to notice one's own ignorance. And acknowledging ignorance is a beautiful feature that science and spirituality hold in common. One of the things I love about his books is he has the science and the spirituality blended together. In this book, I found it more scientific. In the 10 reasons for deleting your social media accounts, it's a lot more spiritual. And I like that. I think it kind of resonates with the stuff that I have been going through. Look, I'm going to leave it at that. And I know that it is a long-winded review, plus also elements of my own experience as to why I deleted my social media accounts. But I'm not going to challenge you to delete yours. You do what you want to do. That is totally okay. Where I would say is kind of like realize what it is that you're doing and what you're comfortable with and what you can and can't accept, and then educate yourself and use these tools accordingly. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and bye for now.